I'm going to use the same photo that I did for the curves adjustment layer. And I want you to notice first off, in my layers panel, I am on the original background layer where the photo is. That's important. We're not going to apply a new adjustment layer to the curves adjustment layer. We have to apply it to the photo. Now, what I want to do is this. If you look at this little girl's eyes, you can see that they're blue. But I'd like to make them a little brighter blue to make them stand out. So the first thing I want to do is zoom in, and I'm using the Command plus on my keyboard so that I can zoom in. Now, I already know that the best method for me to select these eyes is by using the Polygon Lasso tool. So I am going to do that now. And I'm simply with this tool, remember that the Polygon Lasso tool, you have to click as you go so that it makes points or anchor points around the curve of what you are trying to select. And of course, in this instance, it's her eye. I'm going to need to add to my selection so that I can select her other eye. Okay. Now, the reason that we want to make that selection is we want to color only her eyes. We don't want to color her cheeks or her chin or her hair or anything else, just the blue of her eyes. That's why we selected that. So I'm going to come down here in my layers panel again where I can, and let me lift this up a little bit so you can see that better, where I can create a new fill or adjustment layer, and I'm choosing Hue and Saturation. Now, the selection appears to have disappeared, but I know that it hasn't. First thing I want you to know is that hue is simply a name for color. It's another name for color. And if I slide hue, look what happens when I slide it over the green. Notice that her eyes turn green, or yellow, or orange, or purple, or red, okay? I'm going to leave it because her eyes are already blue. I want to leave it at the center. So that's what her natural color is. I just want to make them a little more saturated. And what saturation means, it's the amount of color that's in something. So if I desaturate, I'm taking out the blue. If I put more saturation in, I'm putting in more of the blue. Okay, so you can see if I go up here to around 45 or so that her eyes are really blue. And you notice that nothing else has changed on the photo, and that's because this was all that was selected. So we can apply these adjustment layers to an entire layer or to parts of the layer, which is what we've just done. Now, the lightness, if we play with this, notice that by making it go down, we're adding more black to it. It's becoming darker, okay? And now she looks like a little demon child. If I go up to the right, it's adding more white to it. It's lightening it, okay? So actually, if I make this about a +5 and I zoom back out a little bit, whoops, I didn't mean to click that. It's making it probably a little bit too light. Let me make that about a 2 and see what happens. Actually, I like the way that that looks. It's just emphasizing the fact that the little girl has blue eyes. Okay? So remember, with your layers, you have your filler adjustment layers. That's this little cookie. You apply it to the original photo or background, and it allows you to make adjustments to the photo without destroying the original photo. Whoops.